Welcome to a brand new episode of SideQuest Podcast. Listen in and level up. I have a great guest for you today, but before we get into the guest, let's get through the house notes first. If you're not following me on Facebook, head over to Facebook and follow SideQuest Fitness on Facebook. Put it up in the search bar, SideQuest Fitness. Follow me there. You get updates on podcast episodes, articles that I write, all the shenanigans I get into as well. And, of course, on Tuesdays, you get a taco recipe that you just have to try because tacos rule. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at SideQuestFM. You can follow me as well on Instagram at SideQuestFM. And head over to Snapchat and follow me there, SideQuestFit, and check out all of the shenanigans I get into in life, thoughts, random things that happen, and whatnot. And if you have any questions, you can always email me at sidequestfitness@gmail.com or head over to the website, sidequestfitness.com. And there you can get all of the podcast episodes, all of the articles I write, and much, much more. As I mentioned, I have a great guest for you today. There is a little bit of feedback and some weird static in this. When we recorded it, he was in Chile, and the internet connection was a little iffy, and then the audio had some feedback in it. I don't know, the internet does crazy stuff, but there's so much good content in this. My guest is Slyvon Blanco. He was very, very, very afraid to do this. He put it off for a long time. He has a fear of being recorded, but he conquered his fear. We talk about that, and we talk about so much more in the show as well. If you guys are enjoying these episodes and the solo episodes that I'm putting out, please head over to iTunes and leave a review on iTunes or on Google Music Play there as well. You can listen at Stitcher. Stitcher is internet radio, Stitcher.com. Leave a review there or anywhere else that you get your podcast. Leave a review. When you leave a review, it helps us move up the charts so that more people can hear the amazing guests and the amazing podcast coming out each and every week. And if you enjoy the podcast, if you're really digging an episode, please feel free to share it on Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, anywhere that you listen or anywhere that you have social. Please feel free to share it. But let's get into the show. Let's hear from Slyvon Blanco. We're going to chat about life hacking, traveling the world, and getting fit.
Step up and you gotta get it fitness. Host Rob at the moment and the quest is you gotta check it and wreck it. You're breaking personal records and with the help of the guests you won't be guessing on the lessons. That's a +5 fierce. Got a low-key bamf right here. You wanna meet him, there's no better way to greet him than to strike a boss pose. Take a look into the mirror.
All right, guys, welcome to a brand new episode of SideQuest Podcast. I have a great guest for you today. As I mentioned in the intro, he's one of my boys. I got to meet him last year in Kansas City. We had a hotel room together. And we hung out and drank and lifted and did all that fun stuff. We got to hang out in New York recently for the mastermind that we're in. We also got to see each other again in Venice. And he's just a really, really cool dude. He doesn't write long pieces like yours truly. He just can't shut up and get to the point. They're short, they're sweet, they're to the point. He believes in minimalist. You don't need to do a whole lot of stuff to get your point across. You don't need to do a whole lot in the gym. Just hammer the basics. He's a foodie, and we're probably going to talk a lot about food in this one because we do love some deadlifts. We do love some deadlifts and donuts. And I've got his T-shirt that says deadlifts and donuts, and it's my favorite thing to break out on International Donut Day or National Donut Day is to wear that. The one and the only Slyvon Blanco, welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me, man.
So I gotta ask, I know because you put this up for Full Disclosure Friday. If you guys don't know, Saul Orwell, he's an entrepreneur, email guy and other sort of things. He does this thing on Friday. It's called Full Disclosure Friday. So he puts up a random post, and you guys have seen me doing it on Facebook as well. And Sly's been doing it as well, but I didn't realize until the other week where your name came from. So you're originally from the Philippines, correct?
Yes, I am.
So Slyvon Blanco. I mean, when I first heard your name, I immediately was like, you sound like a badass Street Fighter. If there was a character in Street Fighter, that's what I would name the character. But where did Slyvon come from?
Well, so first of all, funny story is that I didn't even know myself where it came from until one day I'm thinking to myself My brother's name, I have three brothers. Their names are Sean, Simon, and Sydney. So I'm like, wait, what? Where did my name come from? So I asked my parents, and then they told me, basically, it's Sly. Sly came from Sylvester Stallone, because that's his nickname. And then Von, V-O-N, came from Jean-Claude Van Damme, but then they changed the Van to a V-O-N. The thing is, my parents love watching movies, especially my dad. So I guess that's why for the first son, that's what they did. And then I figured after that they just got lazy and they're like, okay, fuck it, we'll just do Sean, Simon, and Sydney for everyone else. But yeah, that's where it came from. It's a unique name that nobody else has. Although I did Google it, and there is one other person in the world that has that name. So I don't know how they got it. It's funny because they're from the Philippines too. At least that's what he looks like. I don't know. He could be from somewhere else.
Oh, that's a great way to sort of I won't say what my real name is only because anyways, but I was named after my dad's two best friends. But they're common names that you see with many guys, but Slyvon is not, and that's an awesome way to sort of come up with a name. I always thought if I ever had kids, God, that's a terrifying thought. I would like to go back and find some like ancient text with like some badass ancient name, or something, and name a kid that. Actually, really, what I would name.
Hey, that's the way to go. Gotta be unique in some way.
Yeah, gotta be unique in some way. So, Sly, how did you sort of get into the world of fitness? I've read your story, but sort of the TLDR version, if you don't mind.
TLDR. Okay. Well, I got into fitness because, long story short, I got into fitness because I was super, super, super skinny. I'm a short guy, and I was not even like 100 pounds. So my story is different from most people's because I started out really, really small. And the thing is, at the time in high school, we had this, we have a core group of friends, and up to now we're still friends. But one of them, who's not, close to us anymore, looked down at me all the time. And, pretty much, I wrote about this, so I'm not, scared to say this, but I got bullied, right? And that's literally, that was the tipping point for me. And then I was just, done with it. And I said, hey, I got to change this. And the only way to change this is to change myself. So yeah, that's how I got started. I started hitting up the gym. First day I hit the gym was actually in senior year of high school, because I know some people start earlier than that. So for me, it was actually the last year of high school. I took a strength training class and just got hooked from there.
Okay. I like you said sort of changing yourself. There's a lot of talk today and sort of, self-love and appreciating yourself and being happy with who you are. And I think that, it's hard to sort of talk about those stories sometimes because, you say, oh, well, I wasn't happy with myself, so I changed myself. Did you really change yourself, or did you find that the best qualities of you sort of came out more, when you dealt with training and getting into that sort of, challenge mindset?
No, you know what? To be quite honest, and this is something that I don't think I've really talked about this. I'm the kind of person wherein if I want something, I'm going to do whatever it takes, to get there. And the way I see it, the only person that can do that can, have me. Sorry. The only person that can basically help me achieve those goals is myself. Like I can't rely on anybody else. This is something that I've been like this since I was a kid. For example, I've always wanted an Xbox when I was younger. I didn't want to ask my parents for money because I'm an immigrant, and that's not how we do things.
Yeah.
Obviously, this doesn't apply to everyone, but for me, how I was brought up. If you want something, you go get it. So, like, yeah, it's just something that I strive towards, and I knew that in order to get that, like, I just had to, like, just fucking do it myself.
It is very interesting, as I sort of got into the world of being an entrepreneur and watching and reading, like, Gary Vaynerchuk stuff, and getting to know, like, you and some other people who are immigrants, man, like, the tenacity and the desire, like that, that American dream that we were told as kids that you can have, we just assumed would be handed to us. And you guys, like, the immigrants of the U.S., just, they want it more.
Yeah. For sure.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's a challenge, man. Like, if they're hungry, how hungry are you? Like you don't
exactly.
get things handed. You don't get things handed to you. And, yeah. Just something I've noticed that I think I wish more of my generation, and I wish I was. That's like when I wrote that piece about, like, the Carolina Blue dream and, like, wanting to be a basketball player. Like, I just thought it would happen if I wished it. Like, if I could go back in time and tell that, like, 7, 8-year-old me, like, no, you're going to have to work so hard that it makes you sick. Like, if you want it that much, you're gonna have to do this. And I just didn't.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's not how. We don't really learn that, at an early age. And even up to now, like, some people don't really realize that. I guess it's something that you just have to. It's something that you learn. You know what I mean? Yeah. For me, I just learned it faster, and I learned it way ahead of everybody else, because when you're an immigrant, like, from the get-go, like, you have to do this, like, for survival.
Yeah.
Like, straight up survival, so.
Did that sort of, so you also do a lot of coding online, you do, like, website building, you do some programming things, but you also coach and you do fitness stuff.
Yeah.
And when you're at home, I know you do some cooking as well, and we'll talk about you traveling the world here in a minute, but that same tenacity, did you take that to learning, like, HTML or C++ or CSS or whatever else is that sort of how you attack that?
Actually, well, since it's appropriate, because this is SideQuest's podcast after all, I actually started with website coding because of the simple fact that before I even got into fitness, I was a big gamer.
Yeah.
Huge gamer. Okay?
What were you playing? What were you playing?
The first thing that I ever got hooked on was Ghost Recon. I don't know if you have ever played that.
Dude, fucking Ghost Recon.
It was
awesome.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. I played it on the Mac. Because remember, I didn't have an Xbox. I didn't have PlayStation.
Right.
So I found a way to get this shit for free. Right? So I got the game. Because on the computer, it's easier to get stuff like that. You can't fucking, like, copy a CD for an Xbox, you know what I mean? At least back then, I didn't know how to do it. So when I got the game for the Mac, I just got hooked, and I was literally playing it every single day, every single night, and it got to the point where I became a founder of a tournament for the game.
Nice.
And keep in mind, this is for the Mac, so the community was really, really small. It's probably for this tournament, probably like 50 something of us was in this, and it was a team type tournament. Obviously, I think there were 10 teams of 5, and I was in charge for some reason. I don't remember how this happened, but I was in charge, and then I realized that there's no website for us to go see stats, leaderboards, standings, none of that stuff. So I figured, like, well, maybe I should put up a website, and I didn't know how to do that, and I decided I'm going to need to learn how to code or do some HTML, busted out an HTML book from the library, literally learned how to code from, like, basic HTML stuff, and then just took it from there.
It's so funny that you say I busted it out from the library, because now, like, my first thought was, oh, you just Googled it, right? You Googled it?
No.
Like,
Well, I did. I eventually did, but I started with a book first.
right. But I mean, like nowadays, you're not going to start with a book. You're going to Google it, find a web. You might get an ebook that teaches you some basics.
Exactly, or YouTube.
Or use there's actually a couple good sites that will actually teach you basic stuff for free, like the most basic that like I know, or you just Google it and copy and paste.
Like did like video courses and stuff.
Yeah, they're like video courses, but there's like an actual website. I can't remember the name of it. Lydia.
Oh, Linda.
That's
what you think.
Yeah. Linda is one you can do, but it will teach you like all that. Is that something that like you think is important? Like people talk about, it's important to know a second language, and you put that in one of your principles. I know that's probably a very old post, but do you think it's important for everyone to know some sort of coding? Like, is that the next language that we speak?
The short answer to that is no.
Okay.
And the long answer is, well, it depends. Is that something that is going to help with your career? Is that something that's going to help with, what you want to do? Because there are a lot of things that you can learn, right? The important thing is, in my honest opinion, to just have another, to have a skill set of multiple things, instead of just knowing one thing and that's the only thing that you're good at. So that's my principle when it comes to just knowing things and learning things.
No, you can't just be the milkman. You can be the milkman who also knows how to play guitar. Not that there are milkmen.
Yeah, there you go.
Because those don't exist.
But I will say though that it's helped me tremendously with what I'm doing now, what I did after that. So it's helped me.
I asked because there was like a series of videos online talking about like coding is like we need to have more classes on it in school. Like it's important for kids to know. It's really arguably probably the next big language that kids should know how to read and speak and use. And then they had some like famous people, athletes who actually like know how to code, like went to school for that.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Chris Bosh actually, formerly of the Miami Heat. I'm not sure if he's there. I don't know. The NBA has been throwing out so much money for athletes. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, they've been moving around like crazy.
And people who.
But the last team that he was with was the Heat.
Yeah. Like he went to school for computer engineering. Well, not engineering, but like he knows how to program. So like he can sit on the team bus.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge NBA fan. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he was in that video talking about why it's important. Oh, his parents, he's a huge nerd. Like, his parents are huge tech geeks. Him and Tim Duncan are the two big NBA nerds of basketball. I'm sure LeBron...
I'm not surprised that Tim is.
Oh,
it's so sad, by the way, that he's retired now.
I agree, because what is really sad about it is unless you're Charles Barkley, who knows a thing or two, when people say who are the five, or even the top 10 greatest NBA players of all time, the average person will not include Tim Duncan because he wasn't flashy. He didn't put up a mega ton of points, but he was so fundamentally sound that if there is anyone listening to this right now and you're like, I want to be a basketball player, you need to go watch every single game. From Wake Forest, when I hated Tim Duncan. I mean, there was not... Christian Laettner will always be number one because he played for Duke. Then Tim Duncan, because he was so good and beat Carolina so many times and hit so many shots. But fundamentally, every single thing, he voraciously understood the basics. And just devoured them and went after them. And he's the only college student I remember who ever said, I'm not going to the NBA, I'm staying all 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And then he played for 20-some years.
Well, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing or what he did,
Yeah. So you are right now sitting in South America. Where are we now in our travels?
Yes, we are in Santiago, Chile.
Ah, Chile.
Yes.
Is that north, south?
It's of South America.
Well, no, of the country, because it runs down the western side of
The western side, yeah. So Santiago is more. It basically borders Argentina, right
Okay.
next to the Andes Mountains.
Okay.
So yeah, it's more on like of the country. It's more on the east side of the country. Santiago is.
So is it they have winter? Is it pretty cold, or is it just like,
Right now it's winter.
right? Is it like a cold winter? Because you lived in
I mean,
Indiana, right?
no, Chicago
Okay.
suburbs.
Is it
Yeah,
like a cold Chicago winter, or is it a little
it's not.
milder?
Well, it's actually only like 60 degrees here, like on average. But at night, from afternoon to like basically till the next morning, it's freezing. It's like yes, and it's not. And when I say freezing, I'm not talking about like 10 degrees or like 20 degrees. I'm talking about like just 32 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's still like it feels cold because I haven't been in the winter for a while.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember, but we weren't home for winter because we went to Southeast Asia, so we never got to experience that. Beginning, just colder than I thought it would be.
So you left shortly after Venice in November of last year, and have only been in the U.S. for a couple of days. This year. You've been in Southeast Asia. You've been in Canada earlier this summer, and then as an entrepreneur, I want to have the ability to be like, all right, we're going away for 2 weeks. Let's go. We're going to go to Pagoda, or we're going to go to New Zealand. We're going to spend a month there. But I know I still have to work at the same time. It's not just vacation. Like, how do you not just be like, you know what? I don't fuck this writing thing today. I'm going to go explore. Like, do you have to set days where it's like, okay, no, this is a work day. Tomorrow can be an exploration day.
Oh yeah, for sure. Our thing right now is that on the weekends, more specifically on Saturdays, that's what I call my do nothing day. And when I say do nothing, that means no work. Okay, so on Saturdays we literally leave our laptops at home. Sometimes I leave my phone at home because it feels good to just not have it with me. So on that day we just explore. We just go out, see what's around. This coming Saturday, tomorrow actually, we're supposed to go on a bike ride around the city because they have bikes here that they just rent out. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave my phone, and we're just gonna look, just explore and not work. Sundays, that's a little on and off. It depends on how much work I need to get done. It's a half do nothing day, so we might explore first, and then when we get back home, I'll get back to work. But during the week, it's focused work, and then the weekends, just do whatever.
Did you? Okay, and this is going to go back to sort of that I mentioned before we got on this piece that I'm working on, and if you're listening, it will be published, because if it's not published by August 1st, my wife has to hit publish on whatever is written, and then
Oh man, that sucks.
take video of me drinking a blenderized Tabby Mill. So it will be up on the website, so you'll find it in the show notes, cyclistfitness.com /Blanco, Blanco. So you can get all the show notes for everything we talk about here, there. But, when I take a day off sometimes, I feel really guilty. Like I'm cheating myself, like I'm not doing enough, like I'm not hustling, like I'm not, like I'm just... how do you deal with that, or how have you found to deal with that by taking that? Or were you just like, you know what, fuck that, that's bullshit, like I'm living my life, like I can't feel that way?
You know what? That's something that took me some time to learn. This whole like do nothing on Saturdays thing, that's new. That's something I started doing just a few months ago. But yeah, like I was feeling guilty when I wasn't working. I wasn't feeling guilty, or I was feeling guilty when I wouldn't be on my computer, from like 8 a.m. to like midnight. Okay? The thing is, I realized that our brains just need some time off in order to be creative. Because if you're always trying to do something, you're going to end up doing nothing.
Yeah.
You're going to end up doing the repetitive things that you do over and over again, and realize that like, oh shit, I'm actually not getting anything done. I'm just sitting in front of the computer. And what I realize is that when you give yourself limits, So, for example, limits when it comes to work, you get more stuff done, right? One of the things that I do is when I go to a coffee shop, I do not bring my charger with me. So I go in with my laptop at 100%, sometimes less, sometimes at like 50 or 60, and I will intentionally leave it that way and not bring my charger because I know that in the 2, 3, 4 hours that I have, I'm going to get more work done than if I was to have my charger with me and there at the coffee shop for like the whole day. Right? So it all goes back to the 80-20 rule. And I know you talked about this in your last episode here on the podcast. You talked about how the 80-20 rule applies to almost everything in life, especially fitness, when it comes to your diet. If you're going to do well 7 days, or if you're going to diet for 7 days, the important thing is that you do well 5 days out of the 7, whatever, right? It's the same thing when it comes to stuff like this. As long as you're doing work, and as long as you're putting in the work and hustling and grinding for most of the time during the week, like, you'll be fine. And that's something that I just like realized like recently, because I gave it a try. Like when I first did the do nothing Saturday thing, I realized the next day I'm like, oh crap, like everything's fine. Like I didn't lose a client. I didn't miss out on an opportunity just because of my do nothing Saturday. Like everything's the same. Like it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, those lessons are slowly starting to come into play with me as well. I've also found that when you try and force creativity, it doesn't happen. And I know that as an artist and having a theater background, like you can't force it. You just like, you could be in a scene with someone, and if you're trying to force an emotion or an action or a reaction, like it's just going to feel awkward and not feel authentic.
Yeah.
And, there are posts, and I'm sure with this one, I'm sure I will write this one this weekend, and on Sunday, I've already planned on not to do anything. I'm sure once it gets posted, I will be like, I have no energy left for the rest of the week. Like that Pokemon Go, article that I put up, in the hero's journey, like I put so much heart into that and I'm not kidding you. The next day I felt guilty because I was like, I had nothing. I just put so much into it, and I was like, I don't have anything left. And I felt bad because I wasn't doing anything. I felt like I was, I don't know, dishonoring those who have, given me so much credit or complimented me, which I don't think compliments very well. But again, all that will be in that post, so you can read that in the show notes. You are also, and you claim this on your website, and you are, I swear to God, I remember Jason Helmus posting this on Facebook one night, and I got from the text message, you didn't have the name. He said, "Oh, you're so wise. You're like a miniature Buddha covered in hair." And he was quoting Anchorman, but I was assuming that he was probably talking about you, or was talking to you, because you claim to also be a life hacker. So not only are you a foodie, we'll get into food in a minute, and a fitness junkie who's traveling the world and having amazing experiences, but you're a life hacker. So what areas are you a life hacker in?
Dude, like I can't even begin to explain just everything, I guess. I'm all about efficiency. That's the kind of stuff I talk about on my site. And when it comes to my clients, I teach them how to be efficient, how to get more by doing less. And that's something that I apply for everything I do in life. Just efficiency. So anything that makes my life easier, right? Like just little things that other people would think are stupid because like it doesn't really matter. And you know what? They don't really matter. But to me, it helps me out, saves me a little bit of time, saves me a little bit of, mental energy. And I know all these little things. Let's just put it that way.
So give me 3 things that you're a life hacker in that people either don't know about you or that you would tell people is interesting to look up and discover how they can actually hack the system and better their life. I know one of them, but I want you to tell me, like, what are 3?
What are 3? Let's see. I might actually have to think about this for a second. Well, for one, the travel hacking thing that you probably are already thinking about.
I have asked you plenty of times about how to get to somewhere very cheap.
Another thing that like could be useful for a lot of people that I know, or that could be useful for people, is dealing with customer calls, like customer representative calls with like any company, right? So one of the things with that is you don't want to sound like everyone else. So anytime you're making a call, okay, your goal is to be different and to sound different from everyone else, because if you do sound different, they're going to treat you differently. They're going to expedite your problem and they're going to fix it sooner. Okay, so one of the things that I do is when I make a call and somebody picks up, one of the things I say is, hey, can we go off the script for a little bit? I have this problem, blah, blah, blah. I know you deal with this every day, but blah, 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 blah. Right? So like little words like that, like little tweaks in the way you say things can speed up the process when it comes to, customer representatives. Another thing is, going back to the whole customer representative things, is that a lot of people don't know that if you press 0 when you make a call, like it will go right to a rep.
Yep.
People don't know that. So people go through the buttons and press 1, press 2, press 4. I just go straight to 0. So just little things like that.
Okay. If people want to understand how to travel hack, and I think it's a very good thing to learn. Wife and I are going to finally, I think, use our airline points that we've been acquiring for the last 2 years this winter. Where's a good
website for Europe, right? Somewhere in Europe.
I think the idea is that after my best friend's wedding, we're going to spend Christmas and the rest of December and probably New Year's in Spain. I'm still trying to convince her of Portugal, because I've heard that Portugal is awesome. Plus, I've heard they have like a trail that you can take from like the top of the border, and from Portugal to the bottom along the coast, which I think would be really awesome, and I would love to do that. Like you can camp the whole way. And
that sounds awesome.
So I don't know. We're gonna do something like that. Maybe Italy. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's what we've been tossing around. But if people want to know how to travel hack, what's one of the best sites they can go to sort of find ways to hack the system so that they can travel for cheap?
One of the sites that I go on, or that I learned travel hacking in the first place from, is The Points Guy, thepointsguy.com. So he's got a lot of good stuff on there. There's another one, I think it's called The Boarding Mile. I don't remember. But usually if you just type in travel hacking blog, you'll find a bunch of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's my question to you on that. When you use those airline miles, so let's say the Chase Sapphire, which we've talked about, gives you those extra bonus miles, or even if you get like a specific airline. So American Airlines, Delta, Southwest has them now. Never Fly Spirit, but I think they have one as well.
They do.
If you get those, they give you like bonus miles. Once you use those miles, do you stop using that card? Like, do you get a new one where you can?
No. Well, it depends. If it's a card you're never ever going to use, like for example, if I was to get one from Spirit, like their credit card, once I get those miles, like I know I'm not going to use Spirit anymore, so I would get rid of that. But for most of my cards, I just leave them open. And the reason why is because it actually looks good on your credit, and the credit bureaus will actually like that if you have a really, really big credit line, because everything gets combined, right? So let's say you have a credit line of like $5,000 from one card, another one for like $10,000. Your total credit line is $15,000. Okay, so basically there's this whole ratio of how much money. How much is your balance every month, and what's your credit line? And the better that ratio is, so you basically, if you don't owe a lot of money but you have a big credit line, the better your credit score will be. It's actually going to get better because of the simple fact that you have a big credit line that you're not using.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you keep the cards open, that credit line's going to stay. And if you close them, that credit line's going to go down, right?
Right.
And then also one of the tricks is that every few months, you know, if you have a card that you don't use, you know, put something on it, pay it, and then that looks good on your credit because of the fact that, like, hey, he's got this card right here that he's never used. He's used it, but he hasn't had a balance. So yeah, it just helps with the credit.
All right. I was assuming that was I was assuming it's not like you know, a cable company or a cell phone company where you can call and threaten to leave, and they're like, "No, let me give you all this cool stuff to keep you." I'm sure Chase would be like, "We don't care, whatever. We're not going to give you bonus miles. Please, I don't want to leave you. Give me
No,
bonus
they
miles."
won't.
Yeah, I've been digging into that stuff for the last couple of years. It's really interesting, all the crazy things you can do with it. Is there an area that you want to life hack but you haven't like really jumped in yet? Like, is there or something you're learning right now to help be more efficient in?
Not really. Again, this is something I'm thinking about. Like, these are things that come to me like when I'm in the shower. Like, oh shit, like I want to learn more about this. But then when it comes to like actually like thinking about it, like right now, like I can't think of it. Like I lose it, you know. No.
All right. Well, let's get to some fun questions and open it up. I know you said
I'm all over the place with that, so I don't really have like one specific thing. I try to learn everything. That's my thing. I'm jack of all trades when it comes to like life hacks. I literally know every little thing about everything. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but whatever.
Well, you know everything about, you know something to at least give someone enough information to go find out more information or point them in the right direction.
Yeah.
I
can say that.
That's good to know. I guess you are like a miniature Buddha covered in hair. You're so wise. You ate a whole hoop of cheese? No, I'm not mad. Actually, I'm quite impressed. Anchorman, how I missed that. Because the sequel sucked. It was awful.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, don't. Dude, it was 30 minutes of my life I can't get back. Like, I turned it off 30 minutes into it. It was just...
I was going to say, was it a 30-minute movie?
Yeah, it was
Gotcha.
Horrible. All right, so a couple of fun questions. Where would you go in a time machine? If you could go anywhere, where would you go?
Where would I go? Like...
Yeah, if you could go forwards, backwards in time, where would you go in a time machine?
Well, one thing for sure is I would not go forwards. Okay? Because, you know, that's what some people would say is that I want to see what I'm doing 10, 15 years from now. For me, I would go back to the time that I started my blog in 2011, my fitness blog. Because it's now 2016. I started in 2011, and I was in school at the time, and I didn't really take it seriously, my business, my blog. So the reason why I want to go back is if I was just able to write more, produce more content, I think I would be in a position right now where, you know, dude.
Don't be nervous. I know you said like the whole time.
Sorry, man.
You've been so nervous about this. Don't worry about it.
I am. I hate being recorded. That's my thing.
Don't. I haven't hit the record button. I don't know what you're talking about. We're just talking.
It's literally like my biggest fear. Like I don't fear anything but that.
Hey.
I remember.
Punch fear in the face. Punch fear in the face.
Yeah, I know. Like I remember this is just us talking right now. I remember in college, like fucking, we would have speeches and stuff. I do just fine if I was just talking, like with nobody recording. But the moment teacher says, "Hey, there's gonna be a video. I want you guys to watch yourselves whenever, you know, when this is done," I'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, dude, watching yourself is horrible. Like I understand why some actors like they'll walk into like Man's Chinese Theater for a premiere, and like they'll walk in and then they leave, like they go out the back door because they won't watch themselves.
That's me. Like
yeah,
I'm probably not gonna like listen to this.
Yeah.
Just to cut. Like I don't know, dude. To be completely honest, one of the reasons why I've been putting this off is because of this. Because of the fact that like fuck, I'm scared. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared. And then the reason why I was just like fuck it, Robbie, let's do this. Let's hit. set up a date in the calendar, is because I want to start getting rid of that fear, right? I want to start taking care of that. So here I am trying to do that. Okay, so I apologize. All right, I apologize for this. Like,
You're doing fine. You know what's on the other side of fear? Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I know. But
you're here. I mean, if we were face to face, we'd probably have some whiskey. We'd be hanging out.
I'd probably do better if I should have done that.
See, you should have. My recording studio is very hot, so I don't want to drink while I'm in this recording studio. All right, so let's go back. Speaking of drinking, we did a little
What were we talking about?
We were talking about the time machine. You said you wouldn't go forwards, but you'd go back to 2011 and work harder on getting your blog up, so that maybe, I'm assuming, you would take this leap and travel the world before 2016.
Yeah, but you know what? That's not even. I don't think that's even my answer. If I could go back in time or go forwards in time, honestly, I wouldn't even use it. I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't go forward. I don't want to see what's coming. It's part of the challenge of life. And I wouldn't go backwards because, like, this might sound cliche. I don't know if other people have said this, but I don't want to change anything. I don't want to change anything.
You wouldn't want to go back and see dinosaurs,
Nah, fuck that. Dude, I'm scared of dogs. Like, if it's big enough and it looks like it can chase me, like, I'm walking away. But yeah, I would not go back in time. I would not change anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of drinking a little bit, which we did plenty of in New York, which always ended in late-night pizza, and having that third slice of pizza and hating myself the next day. What's the most money you've ever spent drunkenly on fast food?
Wait, say it again. What's the what?
What's the most money you've ever drunkenly spent on fast food?
The most money?
Yeah.
How would I even remember if I was drunk?
Well said, sir. Well said. All right, next question. Next question. Here we go. This one's a little more fun. If you could be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, what kind of peanut butter and jelly sandwich would you be? What kind of jelly? Would it be, like, what brand of peanut butter? What sort of bread? And who would you want to eat you?
Jif, if that's how you say it. Jif peanut butter.
Okay.
Jelly doesn't really matter, but now that I think about this right now at this moment, I would not use jelly. I would use Nutella.
Okay.
So peanut butter Nutella sandwich. I don't know if that's even a thing. And white bread, maybe wheat. I don't really like wheat. And did you say who would eat me?
Yeah, who would you want to eat you? Like, if you were a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and someone could eat you, who would you want to eat you?
Oh, what the fuck? I don't think about this. Man. Tim Ferriss?
All right, Tim Ferriss.
Because he would have something insightful to say about the fucking peanut butter and Nutella sandwich.
Chase it down with a glass of wine. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, so going back and reading some of your writing, which you've been doing for a while, which they're really at most 800 words. Like, they're very short, and I applaud you for being concise. Something I need to. You spoke of restraints. I was thinking about that today. I need to put restraints on myself when it comes to writing, and whittling down my words and getting to the point. But you posted something in the last couple of days. When this goes up, it'll be a few weeks. About eating for maintenance. That as you travel the world, you're not trying to get lean. You're not trying to bulk. You're staying active when you can. You're doing a lot of traveling. You're doing a lot of walking, hiking, and exploring, and hitting gyms when you can. And setting up your strategy for that. So how long did it take you to sort of find to set that up? How did you set that up? And what's the number one strategy for anyone in maintenance mode?
If you're asking how I set up the whole, like, strategizing for eating and maintenance,
Right. I mean, so like most of the time you would give people like, okay, here's your maintenance calories, eat this amount. Like you can go a little lower in protein, have some more carbs and fats, because you're in maintenance. But since you aren't really tracking, like, is it possible and how do you set that up?
Oh, to be quite honest, I don't really. Well, first of all, I used to track my calories and macros for a long time. So when I first started working out and when I first got into fitness, I would literally track everything that I would eat for days, for every single day of the year. And I got to the point now where I can look at something and I can guess how many calories it has, how much protein it has. Not so with the fats and carbs, but calories and protein. And right now I just eyeball everything, and I have a number in the back of my mind how much protein I've consumed and how much calories I've consumed. So I guess I just follow some, nutrition. I have these rules when it comes to nutrition that I just follow, and I don't obsess over anything like I used to before. I want to make it as simple as possible for myself, you know what I mean? Because I get really obsessive. So I don't want to go back to that when it comes to my diet. I don't want to go back to that when it comes to fitness in general. Yeah.
Okay. So if someone's going into maintenance mode, I'm about to enter a little bit of maintenance mode. I declined a fun experiment with Tanner. Because I just don't want to do any experiments right now. I just want to focus on getting strong. That's it. 300-pound front squat. I'm coming for you. 400-pound deadlift. It's been way too long. Been tempting me for too many years. So like I'm coming for it. I'm going to do it. I had a great bulk last winter. Not really looking to do that again. Just want to sort of stay in maintenance. But what is the number one strategy you would tell me if I'm not counting calories?
If you're not counting calories, I would just follow simple guidelines such as, stop eating when you're full, right? Like not even when you're full, but right before you get full. You know the feeling when you just are almost there? Mm-hmm. Well, I would just stop. I would minimize the number of meals that I would eat. That's what I'm doing now. So I'm eating 2 to 3 meals a day. Okay? No snacking. Okay? And the reason for these simple guidelines is that there's a good chance that I'm actually going to end up eating less than my maintenance. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be satisfied because of the simple fact that I'm going to be, kind of full or full with my meals, and I'm not eating frequently. So what are the chances of me, for example, hitting my maintenance of, let's say, 2,000 calories, right? With 2 meals. That's 1,000 calories in each meal. And that's a big meal.
That's a huge
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, it's not, following those simple things that, that I tell my clients to do. It makes dieting so easy. You put it on autopilot. Scheduling your meals ahead of time is another thing, too. And when I say schedule, I'm basically just saying, like, knowing when you're going to eat. Not necessarily what you're going to eat, but, like, when. And planning ahead of time, because when you don't do that, you end up buying food or just overeating because of the simple fact that you're eating on impulse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some things that I follow.
Okay. So a couple more questions on articles before we wrap up. So you were a scrawny guy. You were really small. You added like 50 pounds of muscle. Pretty jacked. You're ferocious looking now, like no one would want to bully you. But you were getting bullied. That was your why for getting started. So what is your why now? Like obviously it's changed, right? Because you could stand up to those bullies. Like what is Slyvon Blanco's why for fitness or a healthy lifestyle now?
Now it's for health. So before it was for aesthetics, for looking good, right? Putting on the muscle, getting the abs. Now it's just for health. And the reason why I bring this up is because before I would just eat based on the numbers. I would eat based on the calories. I would eat based on the macros. But the thing is, I never really considered, my health. I never really considered, like, for example, okay, I realized that my digestive system, like, it doesn't like certain foods.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also noticed that my digestion in general, like, sucks. I'm always bloated. So one thing that I've done is I've invested in some digestive enzymes, and it's helped tremendously. Like, something as simple as that, that helps with my health in general. Eating more vegetables, because I will admit, like, I suck at eating vegetables. So just trying to eat more greens and stuff. That is, right now that's my main focus when it comes to my fitness, and I put aesthetics on maintenance.
Okay. I think it's something that as you spend a couple of years doing it, like, I look good naked. I'm not gonna lie. There are mornings I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, I'd hit that.
And the thing is, too, is that the way you look, it doesn't matter if you're not healthy, right? Like, you can have a six-pack, you can look amazing, you could look like a model, but the thing is, it's your insides that matter, because you could die with six-pack abs just because you're not healthy.
Yeah,
I mean, like 20, 30 something.
Your body needs. That's why bodybuilders can't stay at like that low body fat. Like, you need essential body fat to live and cushion the organs and do all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. I'm looking at. All right. So, in your travels, what are the 2 places you visited that everyone should add to their bucket list or add to like their travel list? Like 2 places that have just blown you away.
2 places. One is in North America. The other is in Southeast Asia. Let's start with Southeast Asia. Chiang Mai, Thailand. First place that we went to for our trip, I just fell in love. It's got a good mix of culture and, just everything. Like, it's modern, got food everywhere. It's a nice transition. Okay, let's put it that way when it comes to world travel from home. And then the other one is Calgary in Alberta,
Dude,
Canada.
I saw your pictures in Banff, and I was like,
yes, Banff. Yeah, I should say Banff, not Calgary, because those are 2 different places. Banff. Banff is just beautiful.
I mean, the pictures look, I can't even tell you how amazing it looks. I mean, just mind-blowing.
It was so surreal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been added to my list of places that I
really?
Nice. Visit. Oh, yeah. Along with New Zealand, the Skywalker farm in Tunisia, if we can ever safely get back to Tunisia. Portugal, Spain.
Oh, the Skywalker farm, is that where, like, it was shot?
Yep, they still have the whole thing. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's farm in Tunisia, and it's a site you can go to, a tourist attraction. And then like Japan, but I want to do like rural Japan. Like, I want to go to Tokyo, but I don't like Tokyo doesn't like excite me. Like, I want to go to like the rural parts of Japan and just see how beautiful and amazing.
That's like the real Japan too.
Yeah.
Like, Tokyo would just be like a New York. You know what I mean, for Japan.
Yeah. Yeah. Where are you guys? Are you going to stop? Are you going to continue after this year? Like, are you just going to continue being a traveling entrepreneur?
Yeah, most likely. I don't have any set plans yet as to like where we're going and stuff, but most likely. The thing is, like, we literally do not know what we're doing for like next month. So what we do is we book a place for a month, and then we just figure it out as we go. That's how we've been doing things.
I like it. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. We're about 55 minutes.
All right.
And this recording studio is getting a little balmy. If you could write a note to your younger self, what would you say in only 2 words?
In only 2 words?
2 words.
Fuck, I hate these types of questions. Let's see. Write more.
All right.
Write more. It's something that I like. I want to consider myself as a writer, but the thing is, you can only do that if you actually write. You know what I mean? So,
I know. Trust me.
As opposed to writing every week or every, even every few days, write every day, like anything, to yourself, social media, your blog, anywhere.
What's the first 30, 60 minutes of your day look like? Could that be your first, because that's one of my 9 rules of life is that I write for a minimum 30 minutes a day.
I try doing that, but the thing is, I can't focus. So the first thing I do every day is just shower. It's literally the first thing I do when I get up is shower. But I've tried the whole writing after even showering, and yeah, I need to go through my day first. I need to work out. I need to eat before I do any of that stuff.
I got you. All right, so Sly, I've enjoyed chatting with you. You have gotten over your fear, or at least delivered a nice Hadouken to the fear's face in this episode and coming on. If people want to know more about you, where can they find you online, or the intranets, the social media, everywhere else?
Social media, my what do you call this? My username is Slyvon Blanco for almost everything. Slyvon Blanco. And then if you want to check out my site, it's at vonblancofitness.com.
Awesome. Well, Von, I have enjoyed chatting, catching up, getting you on the show finally. I know you were one of the first guys I came after when I started as the unofficial Fitocracy thing. But I'm glad we finally got to chat and catch up a little bit. So
yes,
guys,
me too.
Again, for all the show notes, head over sidequestfitness.com/Blanco, Blanco. Check out Von's stuff. I'll have his links to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, his Snapchat as well, because he does get some pretty good shots of where he is in the world. But follow him there, especially on Instagram, so you can see the awesome places that he's visiting around the world, and then you can add those places to your travel bucket list. Chile is definitely one of mine, along with Machu Picchu, all of that. There's a lot of places in South America I want to see. So, plus I've heard the coast.
Thanks again for having me, man.
Yep, thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Step up and you gotta get it fitness. Host Rob at the moment and the quest is you gotta check it and wreck it. You're breaking personal records, and with the help of the guests you won't be guessing on the lessons. That's a +5 fierce. Got a low-key band right here. You wanna meet him, there's no better way to greet him than to strike a boss pose. Take a look into the mirror.